Hi, I'm Holly, and welcome back to my channel, LipeDiva. Today I'm in the Richmond house, so if things look a little bit different than they normally do, that's the reason why. And by the way, I love this wallpaper. It's my favorite. So I know sometimes, let me see, like the light is sort of hitting it and kind of washing it out. Oh, that's better. You can see it a little bit better there. It's just the way the room is set up because I have a window over here, and so sometimes the camera is like struggling to figure out which thing to focus on. So sorry for that. I think it'll probably like balance in and out like over the course of the video, but I love it. It was so easy to put up. It's actually peel and stick, so it doesn't injure the wall. You can take it down really easy, and I just think it's such a nice little backdrop. So try and block it out. You can see it, yeah, on that side a little bit. No, yeah, there you go. Boom. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Anyway, so I wanted to say we just got back from our cruise not too long ago. We were in Honduras, and then we went to the Bahamas like just for a hot minute. And we were also in Mexico first, right? So great trip on the Virgin ship, Scarlet Lady. You can see my video where I talked about my favorite room on the ship, which I think I should probably make into a short because for me, it like makes me giggle every time I think about it. But just top notch, really, really great experience. And we got to spend some time in Miami just before the cruise started on the 22nd. And then we did Christmas like on a beach, which was really nice. And then we went to Honduras and we actually got to do a bunch of things. Like we did these animal interactions, engagements, encounters maybe. So, we got to hold like a sloth and play with like, were they gerbils, hamsters, maybe a guinea pig. I'm not sure which one, but they were super cute. And there were also some monkeys, and the monkeys were like the surprise big hit. And I mean, obviously, like everybody knows monkeys are going to be great, but we kind of thought that the sloths would be like the super big hit. But the monkeys were hilarious. They were like all over all of us. And of course, monkeys are always thieves. Like when you see them, they're always like, it's curiosity, right? But like one of them literally went into my little fanny pack, like unzipped it. So it was a lot of fun. And then we also did like horseback riding in the same day. And for me, like horseback riding wasn't as great. It wasn't a big deal, but it was definitely really, really meaningful to at least one person in the group, and that was my cousin. So she was super excited about that, and I'm glad we were able to do it because I know she had a lot of fun and it was meaningful to her. So. But I wanted to share some thoughts on Virgin. It's a little bit different from every other cruise that I've taken for sure. And I've been on, let me see, Norwegian, it's Royal Caribbean, also Carnival, right? That was the very first one that I ever took. And then Holland, America, which I have to say, that was a more mature crowd. And that's me saying it was a more mature crowd. So the bonus plan was that we definitely won the karaoke contest on that one. But I will tell you, I was, yeah, we were surprised at the demographics on the Holland America one. So anyway, so I will say this one was a little bit different. It was an adult-only cruise. And the only thing I can say that kind of left us maybe a little wanting was that we really didn't see a lot of pools. Like, there was this sort of like one main pool, but it wasn't super deep, and there were actually kind of a lot of human beings. Like, one of the good things about being on a no children cruise, right, is that you think about there being like more accessibility to all the things, like fewer people sort of competing for the different spaces, and fewer things that are more targeted toward kids. So but there were plenty of folks that wanted to be in the pool, so it did kind of take on that sort of people soup feeling after a while. And then the hot tubs were like not that bubbly, and they weren't that hot either. So just a little bit different from what I was expecting, I guess, right? And you don't typically, it's just different from what you would typically see on like the sort of standard or legacy cruise ships. And I think that, when I say me, I'm really saying more me and my son. Like when we cruise, it's a big thing for us. We're water people, so we like to play in that, like do the like little, like slides, the water slides, and to relax in it. And I felt like that was something that kind of, might be a non-negotiable for us. And I hate it because everything else on the cruise was amazing. And I don't think either one of us realized just how important that sort of was to us. But cool. The other thing I would say is that what was super amazing, and I'm going to try to get away from saying amazing because I know like it's become like a verbal tick with me, is the food options on the ship. We were so impressed about the food options. There were restaurants there, and I want to say the Wake was probably my favorite. No, I'm going to take it back. It had to be Gung Pai, right? I'm probably mispronouncing it. But they had this restaurant that was their take on Korean kalbi, and I love kalbi. So we just came back from Korea not too long ago. So for me, that was a win because I would eat kalbi every day, all day, and I'm sure that my heart and cholesterol levels probably are really glad that I can't get to it every day because not everyone will go with me again and again and again to get kalbi, but I love it. So I want to say that's really unusual to find. I'm really happy actually to see that there's that much interest in Korean food because I think it's like chef's kiss, right? But I just know that a lot of people, a few years ago, you wouldn't find a lot of people that had had an experience with kalbi. So love that it's on Virgin's cruise ships. And I would say the test kitchen was also really cool, and that one was Michelin rated, so definitely don't miss it, right? And there was nothing bad, right, about anything. All of the people were enjoyable. The cabins were awesome. They, like, when you walked into the cabin, like the second you opened the door, like the curtains would just sort of automatically slide open, and there was a lot of technology in the cabin. Like you could control the lights and control the curtains and also control the television, right, like on this one tablet. And then the bathroom, I thought it felt to me like it was really big. It was spacious to me. There was a nice waterfall shower head and also a hand wand that was actually a powerful one, which I appreciate. And I would just say the room was well outfitted, right? And then our cabin was definitely well maintained each day. The entire time we were there, we had fresh water provided in the little carafes every day. And our cabin attendant was David. I'm pretty sure it was David. And he just always had a nice smile for us every day and was super unobtrusive. But you know, we didn't get like silly animals made out of towels like on maybe like Carnival, but he did everything lovingly, and it was very adult but also sophisticated. And I would say just in general, plenty of space for suitcases. Like I am definitely an overpacker. I had 2 BA suitcases with me in addition to like a carry-on and a backpack. Like I basically just looked like I had my whole home on my back when I showed up, and I still had plenty of room for that. And my aunt did too, because I was sharing a room with her. So that was great. And also on the balcony, that was like they had their sort of classic hammock, which is, you know, like signature Virgin, and that was nice. It was cozy, sweet little touch that sort of makes you think like, you know, I want that everywhere I go now. Like, where can I find that? Another thing I would say about the cruise is you have to get the unlimited for the spa. It was a little over $300 maybe, I think for our particular like cruise, and I booked it, I want to say on the first day, maybe it was the second day that I booked it, but it was for a 6-day unlimited package, and they had a couple of different options for the unlimiteds as well. It came with some different scrubs because you got like the muds every day. You would go in, sit in the sauna, and like put the mud on, and it just makes you feel nice and smooth. But then they also gave you a sugar scrub that you could use, and some, I think it was a face mask and a hair mask. So that was nice. And the whole like thermal suite, because that was what was included in the unlimited. It was unlimited access to the thermal suite, was lovely. I have a couple of pictures. It was kind of hard to get photos, obviously, because people are like trying to, you know, they're laying around, they're being comfortable, and I just didn't want to invade their space. But it was really, really relaxing, and I find myself now looking for unlimited spa access Virginia now that I'm back. I think the kind of closest thing would probably be King Spa, which is a Korean spa that's here. It's not exactly the same sort of vibe, but the same options as far as like thermal rooms, but of course much less exclusive, and also you can't get like unlimited access, but you can get a day pass, so that's really nice, and a good experience for folks who haven't tried it. But the ship, it was just gorgeous, like so very adult and sophisticated, very modern vibe. I love the warm stones to lay on. I mean, that's like a great place for a nap if you just need to recoup and reinvigorate for the next set of outings. Like, just a great space to go, and then I don't know, you just feel like you're ready to like take on the world after relaxing for a little bit. So my son and I actually really enjoyed that, and I ran into him there at least once because, you know, they're like off all over the ship, and it's hard to track them down. So it was nice to be able to like kind of sit there and like have a silly talk with him while we were just, you know, covered like head to toe in mud. So that was good. And what else do I say? They had an afternoon tea, and that was something I really, really enjoyed. I love a good afternoon tea, and I just didn't expect for them to have something like that, so I thought it was a really nice touch that they had it. Great experience overall. I just think that, you know, that's probably the one deal breaker for us, is that we just love having more water features. And even in the spa, like there was a sort of pool there. I mean, it was a nice pool, a bit colder, but it was more of a plunge pool than like a swimming pool. And even the hot tub that was there was sort of a very shallow hot tub, enough you could get a couple of people in there if you were super comfortable with them, like to get cozy. But I guess maybe I'm just not sort of adult enough to appreciate these kinds of variations on what you would see on a typical cruise line. So for me, if we could have just like all of the Virgin things and the pools, like that would be everything that I could possibly want. But still, just a wonderful trip, and it was a gift. It was a gift to be able to spend that time with family and friends. And I have to say, I felt really, really comfortable in my skin, in the different outfits that I picked. And I was really happy to see that I've, you know, now that I've lost this weight with Wegovy, and if you've, you know, been watching the channel, I've been on Wegovy now for about 1.5 years, and I've lost a total of 100 pounds. Now, of course, I still have the same issues with my legs and my arms from the lipedema, because the weight that I lost was the normal fat, right, and not the lipedema fat. But I still felt like it was so much easier to get dressed just having lost some of that regular fat. Now, of course, the thing that always happens happened while I was in Miami. Like before we even got started with the cruise, I knocked my knee. I sort of knocked it against like an upholstered bed frame edge in the Kimpton Hotel we stayed at. And like, so if anyone, if you're familiar or not familiar with lipedema, one of the things that I would say that I struggle with, and that most of my lippy sisters also probably struggle with, is this sort of unexplained bruising that happens all the time. So I would get covered in bruises on my legs, on my arms, and honestly, most times you didn't even know what it was from. But, you know, so I guess at least this time I actually know what I did. And I ended up getting bruised, like from the knee down, like huge bruises, because I banged my leg into this really soft bed frame. But that was my left leg, and it was ridiculous. And I would say that kind of became like a thing for me. Like just it took up a little bit of headspace, right? Because every time I would put on a dress, I would know like, oh, my legs are going to look like a bit nutty to people. Like someone just, you know, spent time, like, I don't know, playing the drum, like playing my legs like a drum, you know, which it just looked bad. I do have a picture, but I feel like it doesn't really necessarily capture the fact that you could actually like see the inflammation. It was insane. Like it was, like there was topography to it, right? It was a raised bruise, but you know, it's so typical. I'm just never able to travel without having a ton of bruises all over me. And the other leg, you know, I didn't even knock the other leg against the bedpost, but that one also got bruises. So it's just kind of part of the conditions. But I would say I was able to get that part out of my mind as I went on with this trip. And I told myself I'm going to wear the skirts, I'm going to wear the dresses, and I'm going to just be comfortable and make sure that I surround myself with people who don't suck. And I feel like that was mission accomplished, right? Like I had a really, really good time. And I would say if you are on the fence and you're thinking about doing a Virgin voyage and you're just kind of wondering, I would say the Scarlet Lady was a wonderful ship to go on. Super easy embarkation process, super easy debarkation process. That, you know, and I think there were options for excursions, whether you went with Virgin or with a third party. Like we did Shore Excursions, I want to say, was the name of the group that did our zip line, horseback riding, animal encounter triple play excursion in Honduras. But we also did, you know, the Bimini Island excursion with just like that was the cruise line, and it was lovely. So I think you're going to be super happy with all of the excursion options and also with the food options. Like if you're a foodie, you will love this. The test kitchen is going to be like your jam. And I think if you are a person who drinks, you're going to be happy with the cocktails that they have available. They were a little pricey, but definitely had some good options. Got a lot of feedback from folks that they really enjoyed their drinks. And if you're a sober person, I think you'll also be excited at the mocktails if that's something that you do. Like we found like each and every one of the restaurants on board the ship had sort of a signature mocktail, or at least like a number of mocktails that were on the menu or you could ask for. And even like the class that they gave on mixology, like showing people how to mix drinks, one of the drinks was a mocktail, and they didn't tell people that until people had already tried it, and then he was like, surprise, there's no alcohol. And people were like, wow, that's like really impressive. I don't know what it was. I think it was something called seedlip maybe in the drinks. I had several of the mocktails, right, because my son is sober. So I typically, you know, I align with him on these things. And I don't particularly like to drink anymore. I think that's been like a really interesting sort of impact of Wegovy, that it really has kind of taken away, it hasn't taken away the love of the flavor. Like I really, you know, I used to love Prosecco. I still like it in theory, but I just don't, I guess, drink as much of it. Or like even if I get a glass of Prosecco, I'll have like a sip and all right, then I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know. I guess I just don't want as much of it. So on a cruise, for me, it's not a big deal to not drink. So we got a chance to try a lot of the different mocktails that they had. And by the way, it's still pricey. Like these mocktails were only a little bit cheaper than the regular drinks, but they were good. And that's a good option, right? They also had a Friends of Bill W meeting available every day. So, and I think maybe every cruise ship has this. They should. It's self-organized by the folks who join it. But if that's, I just wanted to say it, if that's something that's important to you, know that you can find that as well as sort of all the other adult things on the cruise. There are also those kinds of adult things, like to help people be responsible adults in their consumption while they're on the cruise and still be able to have a really great time and still feel special, because there's nothing like to me, it's a little bit irritating when someone has, you know, like you go to a nice restaurant and everyone else has a pairing that's like suggested to go with their meal, but there's no thought given to people who are sober. And by sober, I mean like that could be someone who's temporarily sober because, you know, they're pregnant, or it could be someone who's made this choice of a lifestyle to be sober because it's just, you know, more healthful. Or it could be someone who struggles with addiction and needs to be sober for that reason, right? So if you feel like you should have, I feel like you should have options for those folks, right? Like especially in an environment like a cruise where there's literally bars everywhere, and it's really nice for it not to be an afterthought. Like, oh, you know, you see them where they're like, I can do a daiquiri and just remove the alcohol. But instead, these were like crafted drinks that were intentionally made alcohol free so that you could enjoy something special that was still an experience. So anyway, I really did like that, and I wanted to take some time to share that with you. And also to say, you know, there are a lot of cruise options out there. So I'm not sure if Virgin is for everyone, but also I am not the best person to do like any kind of in-depth sort of cruise review. There are a lot of really good choices. If you want to look online, people do like these in-depth cruise reviews. And, you know, if I'm honest, I have the benefit of my best friend. So she always does a ton of research on these things and helps us make really informed choices, and even made reservations. So, you know, my typical procrastination didn't mean that we missed getting reservations at any of the restaurants because she took care of it. Like, if I'm honest, like, she's the one that should be doing the review, right? So I would never even pretend to be the one who should do a full-on review for you. But if you're just a layperson who likes to cruise once in a while and you want to know, like, should I give it a try? Like, 100%. Just for the food alone, honestly, just amazing. And by the way, all of the food was included. Like, So there are no upcharges for going to the restaurants. Like, even though they sort of have a galley space, it's, you know, not a buffet like you might see on other cruises where it's sort of like all picked over, but it's an open space that's maybe like a vibe, like a food court where you can find food kind of 99% of the day and night. They have some that I think are open all night. I think that it was the diner that was open all night, so you could get diner food. But for your meals, right, you can choose also a number of different restaurants with different kinds of food focuses, like, you know, like the Korean Calbee one, but there's also an Italian one. There's one that's sort of vegetarian forward, and there wasn't an upcharge. I think there were maybe a couple of things like a seafood tower that you could order at one of the restaurants that there was an upcharge for, or maybe if you got like the Wagyu something or other specialty add-on thing, then there might be a charge for that option. But honestly, 99% of the things that were there were absolutely free and delicious, and would highly recommend them, right? So, and that's really, I guess, you know, before I just wax philosophic about it forever, that's kind of all I really wanted to share. Just an amazing trip, really, really great experience with Virgin. And if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments below, and I'm happy to kind of take a stab at them from a, you know, from a layperson's perspective. But thanks for watching my channel. I hope you will like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow my viewership, but I hope you'll have a great day. Happy holidays. Take care.